Namaste. I welcome you all to a very special episode of Logistically Speaking. This is our last episode of season 1 of Logistically Speaking. And to make it extra special, we have with us Mr. Balfour Manuel, who is the Managing Director of Blue Dart. Over the years, Mr. Manuel has been instrumental in leading Blue Dart's growth and has helped shape it to the institution that it is today. Mr. Manuel, welcome to the special episode of Logistically Speaking. And we are very excited to have you in this show, Logistically Speaking, which is going to be the special one because this is going to be the last episode of season 1. And I'm sure the audience of Logistically Speaking will be excited to hear about your experience, which is spanning more than maybe 30 years in the same industry, which is logistic industry. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming to the show.
Thank you for having me, Jess. It's my pleasure. Always a pleasure to meet you. We've known you for a long time now. Thank you.
So let's get into the show. The usual question during this particular time: how was pandemic for you, and what was the impact on your business? And given the scale and the geographies where Blue Dart is present, how you could manage the situation?
Yeah, that's a relevant question and a nice question, really. You know, our being present from the foot of Himalayas to south to Kanyakumari, it was much bigger an issue for Blue Dart to come to the normal levels of working. But as you know, we are a people-intensive industry, and we focused on two things. One is our customer and the people. And you know, in our DNA, we believe we are the best place to work for. So the first thing that we did was take care of our people. Just to give you an example, in the month of April, we paid all our increments, promotions, ex gracias, everything. And further on, somewhere in September, we rewarded our people, which gave them so much of confidence to say that they work for a great organization. This in turn gave us a scale in the norm. At times we were the only organization open in many cities. It was only our people moving around. So it's a great learning how you take care of people and how they return. It is said you take care of people, they take care of service. So it's been a great learning. I'm really, really proud of the people that we have and all the things that we could learn or probably unlearn during the pandemic, work from home culture and so on. Thanks.
Was there any philosophy or guidelines which you followed, especially when you had to make difficult decisions, or especially during this period, which I'm sure you may be having many difficult decisions you might be forced to make. So what was the philosophies which you followed?
Yeah, so our DNA says we work on 3 different pillars. One is the employer of choice, investment of choice, and provider of choice. So taking this DNA through, I think we stuck to 2-3 pillars again. One is the service quality, the people, and making sure conserving our cash and making sure that we are able to service the country and with the same efficiencies that we had during the normal course. So it made a huge difference that our principles, we stuck to very close to our core principles.
Personally, I feel sometimes the difficult situation force you to innovate. So this is a situation, a pandemic situation, which nobody has faced. So does this pandemic situation resulted in having forced you to innovate something, and whether that is going to stay and it is going to help your organization in the future?
Most certainly, innovation at a rapid pace. I would rather say that all the tech interventions that of the future has come at a rapid fire during the pandemic, and I believe it's the greatest journey. I think we could crunch so many things in this last 6-7 months, unbelievable. I believe it brought in a lot of focus on the customer, digitization per se. So contactless delivery, for that matter, we were one of the first people to push contactless deliveries. There was internal customers, there was external customers to take care of, but it's worked so well. So that's just one of it. There is been a lot of digital intervention. The journey has taken shape much faster during the pandemic than in the normal course.
Digitalization or forced digitalization especially happened during the pandemic or the lockdown period. Which areas of your segment where you had to get into some new different technology, and how it was helping you, and whether it is going to be the main thing in the future?
Oh yes, digitization, yes. I wouldn't call it forced digitization, but I would call it again rapid digitization in our processes. For example, our payments all became 100% digitized, 100%. And just a belief that during the pandemic everybody was closed, but our recovery cycle improved. I think a lot of improvement happened there. So it's a great
That's
learning.
something which is anxiously awaited by the industry also.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's not, there was no face to face, but we actually bettered our realizations from the market, and we believe we have a better, cash flows coming in due to the digitization part. So all our billings became digital. Payment gateways, we have about 16, 17 of them. Some of them really grew during the pandemic. Other than that, I think we focused a lot on predictability, data analytics, cloud, based on cloud, and that brought in a lot of what you call availability of data about customers in terms of, so we could probably attempt in slots that the customer wanted during the pandemic based on availability, and I think these things have helped us a lot. On the e-commerce side, I think the omni-channel way of working has also gathered some momentum, and I think we have been able to support that system very well.
I think these days everybody is talking about omni-channel, and not only the new brands, even the traditional brands are moving towards omni-channel. So you really feel like this is going to be the future for retail marketing?
I used to say this about 7-8 years ago. It's coming to be realized that now during the pandemic that your stores are your actually your inventory, and you pick up from. So there are quite a few brands. I don't mind, but I would stick to some of the leading brands have started with Blue Dart. So omni-channel from the stores to the customer has begun in a much bigger way. Consumer durables, garments, largely, and even consumer electronics for that matter in a big way, from the store to the customer. So a company like Blue Dart will plug into the store, whereas our API is working in the background, and you have a refurbishing happening. The stocks are seen by the company and says, hey, this is the store you can pick it up from, and in most of the cases it's same day delivery. So this makes a big difference.
So your belief and your future planning really helped, especially during this time when the industry is changing.
Yes, I believe it speeded up a little bit because how the mom and pop stores really came up during the pandemic, right? They all became people who would deliver at the door. And I guess the bigger footprint of the retail, dovetailing with e-tail, as we say, will see a bigger scale going forward.
How have you coped with work from home? In the past, like in logistics, nobody used to talk about work from home, but now it has become like a norm. So how was your experience during that time, and do you think in logistic industry this is going to be the future?
So really, work from home is the new future. I would say it's other than the new norm. There is a future there in terms of our homes are going to be more digitized than before. It's now work from anywhere. That's the culture. You can work from anywhere. Our people are sitting across the country, and there's not a iota of loss in their productivity. So I think it's a learning, and I believe work from home can continue for quite some time. You mentioned in the logistics industries, of course, the back end works from home, but the front line, We had something like 30 odd thousand on the street for a long time. Of course, that will continue because they are the front line. But I think the back end, our customer service, sales, our back end managers, they continue to work very efficiently from home. In fact, in a very focused way.
Some of the arguments which come against that is people say productivity is much better when they are in office. I mean, maybe it is also because in logistics that was not something which was happening in the past. So how you see that, the productivity part of it?
I would say, other than missing the face-to-face communication, my experience is there is more focus and there is the flip side is that you're more focused on the objectives. You're reviewing that every day face-to-face, so on and so forth. So I think it has a flip side of everybody. I would love to be in the office every day like everybody else, but the fact remains that I think we've been able to meet more teams virtually than when we were working otherwise. So every day you have 3 or 4 groups meeting together virtually, and that brings in more synergies, and I think that way it has improved. I'm not saying we should not go back, but I think this is a new learning. There has been focus, more virtual meetings, more and more global interfaces happening. I think it's a good development.
Oh, that's great. You mentioned during this time there was some kind of technological changes and a few changes you did. But what kind of expansion thing you did during this time, which will of course help you in the new normal for the future?
Oh, that's a wonderful journey. We actually worked very closely with the government initially because we thought the businesses were shut down. So we became an essential service provider. As you know, we have the largest capacity fleets in the air. So we have 6 Boeing 757s in our ground network, and we became a partner to government under the UDAN scheme. So we, for the first time, we started ferrying our aircrafts back and forth internationally to carry PPEs, equipments, COVID kits, and so on and so forth. And that's been a big journey. It opened up a lot of, till the situation normalized on ground, we used a lot of flying outside the country.
Other than that, increase the city pairs also? You increase during this time any city pairs you could increase or something like that?
We cover the country very well, but if you ask me, we flew to many more airports. Our aircrafts moved to many more airports and touched many more points during the pandemic. That was new because state governments needed equipment, so we had to fly there. So it was not necessarily the scheduled network, but we started flying during the day as well. Ours is the night operations, we started flying during the day, and I think that's given a much more flexibility, much more capacity in the air. So that's a new development.
And I think it's going to be more important, especially now with the news of vaccines which is coming in. There is going to be an opportunity, or I would say a service to the government to ferry this all around.
Absolutely, we look forward to this opportunity. The reason being that we have the ability, we call them warehouses in the sky. We have the ability to reach very large quantity of material from one place to the other in a matter of hours. So our air capacity, our air power is a big strength. Other than that, we have a temperature controlled product, we have trained people, we have an ability to reach a large number of pin codes in the country with a temperature controlled product. So, and this product is with us for a decade. So I think the combination of ground and air ability with trained manpower, it makes it a very fertile ground for us to participate.
Yeah, because I think you are one of the few companies who is very well established in this specific segment. So any incremental capacity you are planning, or you are already well prepared for this kind of sudden increase. Like today we are talking about giving vaccine to 1.3 billion people. That may result in 2.6 billion doses which you have to ferry around the world. A lot of cold chain is required, cold chain capacity is going to be required. I'm sure Blue Dart is present in all these kind of segment. So you are planning to expand your capacity, or you feel like your existing capacity will be able to service this kind of demand?
certainly the scale is going to be something that we've not seen before, but we want to stay focused. We are an express company in the express industry, so we want to stay focused to that core competitors that we have. So everything that we do will be towards running our express network, whether it's air or ground. When you stick to your core, I believe our deliverables will be of much more relevance. So we will stick to our core, not move into something else. We do have the capability as an express company to carry temperature controlled goods from one place to the other. We'll stick to that core, and I think that is where our opportunity lies.
And Mr. Manuel, on a personal level, could you reconnect with any hobby? I know you are a good singer, and or you could learn a new skill during this period.
Yeah, virtual singing has happened. You're right. So virtual singing through the phone to people recording. Other than that, a lot of books I've taken to. I wouldn't get the time to go through books, so that has also happened. Reading to the books, and as you know, I think we have all got our hands full of household chores now. So a lot more practice in cleaning, a little bit of cooking, which was not really practiced before. But I think I'm getting better and better in that. And
On a lighter note, that may be some of the reasons guys want to come to office more faster than before.
If you ask me, yes, I think it's a relief when you come to office. That you're far away and you're in your own space. Actually, home is your own space, but you feel you're back to your own space. So everybody wants to get back, but I think there are many homes which have, like in one of my rooms, have become an office. So I get in and get out only late evening. So I guess that is happening all over the place. Everybody,
That's
I'm
true.
sure. And this is that's why I said I think homes will get a little more digitized. But I believe there has to be a balance. I keep my team, saying that you must have a start time and a finish time. I'm particular about that. Thank you.
I know your leadership style is relationship and result. It is only relationship maintaining is also not good. Only result orientation is not too good. So what I could understand from your style is that you are a mix of both. That means relationship and also result orientation. So sometimes you get inspiration from various books or quotes or people. That happens. So I would just like to hear from you. Was there something like any specific quote which you always keep you energized or keep you motivated?
Yeah. So my boss, who's Ken Allen, who's the global CEO of this division, he often says, and he quotes in his book, revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, and cash is reality. And I think it became such a real case during the pandemic. You had to take care of your cash reserves, you had to ensure that your cost efficiencies come down, do well, focus towards profitability, and
Absolutely.
revenue became one of the things, not just the top line, but there was this aspect of cost efficiencies and focus towards it, and most of the companies are doing well on that.
And any specific book you remember?
Well, if you ask me, very relevant to my kind of business, my own boss, Ken Allen, he's a well-known personality in the DPDHL group. He has written a book called Radical Simplicity, and I think you must read it. It's got so much of wisdom for day to day in the kind of business. It has everything that we did in the pandemic. So I would recommend you read this book called Radical Simplicity. In fact, I can make it available.
Okay.
I really enjoyed it, and I think we all apply a lot of things which are written in that book in Buddha. So that's one book that comes to mind.
And any specific destination which you like?
I love all destinations, but I would love to be in San Francisco. It's such a live city. The kind of art and culture and the mixture, is very enjoyable there. It's a very lively city. I love many cities that just came up. There's another town called Charleston in North Carolina. A place where you would like to stay for a long time. So these are places which I really enjoy. A lot of warmth, architecture, art, and live streets. It makes a lot of sense here.
And of course, San Francisco is always said as the breeding ground for entrepreneurs.
Absolutely.
Maybe that
absolutely.
place keep you motivated also.
Absolutely. It's a mix. It has a lot of, it's got the Napa Valley, and it's got culture, it's got outdoors, it's got street life, and it's got a lot of technology, Indians.
Yeah.
It makes it more lively for us when we go
You
there.
mentioned about Napa Valley and all. I think what about any specific food you like? Any specific cuisine or
Yeah, so one of the things which I love continental cuisine and our own Eastern cuisine. Not that I don't like the Arabic way or whatever, but Middle Eastern cooking and the continental cooking goes great with me. I enjoy that food. It's easier to cook. It's also much more palatable as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. You tried your hands in making something like that?
Yes, all the time, even during the pandemic. Easier to mix, easier to grill, easier to cook. It makes a lot, it's fun.
Okay, that's great. And I don't know whether you are a movie buff, but any specific movie which you like?
I can't remember many movies that stick to my head, but Ben-Hur is one.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing.
so each time I see, there is so much of learning there, courage, the can-do, everything seen in that movie, and what an epic. I mean,
Okay.
I really, that comes to top of mind.
Oh, that's great. Even for me, sometimes I get kind of personal motivation or some strategies in business also from some of the movies. Maybe very small movies also, because every movie comes with some theme which sometimes will help you also. So you could find any such a movie which you could really relate to in your business or your life or anything like that?
Quite a few. There are some Wall Street movies which is very iconic. Movies which I have seen and always been inspired the way these movies actually carry some of the decision making that you see in those movies. So I do watch some of the movies there, and I also see movies which are more of strategic, whether it is a war movie or whether it is a adventure movie. I watch them very, very closely in terms of what brings the win. Is it the courage? Is it the ability to stay? Is it the resilience? Ultimately, it's the resilience of the main character that carries you through.
Okay, that's it. And thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Manuel. Thank you for joining Logistically Speaking series. And this is going to be our last one for the season 1. So thanks a lot. Thanks for giving time. And it was really a privilege to have you in Logistically Speaking. And I'm sure that the audience of Logistically Speaking must have really learned something new, the style, leadership style of Mr. Manuel, which can always help the audience also. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I really appreciate what you're doing. I enjoyed this chatting with you, and I wish all the people in global logistics all the very well. I know this is a young organization, youngsters, and I think you're doing a great job. It's your world. The doors are wide open for you to grow, expand. But most of all, I'm really happy that you actually took this as one of the things to do, and I enjoyed the interview. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. I hope all of you have enjoyed this episode and were able to gain from Mr. Manuel's experience and insight. I personally had a great time connecting with all of you through this series. While this is the last episode of season 1, we will be back with season 2 of Logistically Speaking very soon. Thank you very much, and till we meet next time, namaste.